Protesters of the Trump administration's immigration policies now taking their message directly to Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, even when she's having some private time. That was at a Washington restaurant. Then they actually went to her home in Virginia. Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters says this is just the start.
I have no sympathy for these people who, know it's wrong what they're doing on so many fronts. These members of his cabinet who remain and try to defend him, they're not going to be able to go to a restaurant. The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
So is this basically the end of civility? Here to debate, Fox News contributor Charlie Hurt and lecturer at the University of Maryland, Jason Nichols. Welcome, both of you, and good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Thank you. Jason, has your party just given up any sense of not just civility, but decency?
Well, I think everything that happens in our country starts with the top, and I think our president has abandoned decency and civility in so many occasions. And where you played a quote from Maxine Waters, we know that he's called her a low IQ individual. So if the Trump administration and particularly President Trump has the right to hit back, so does she.
Wait, so it's it's Donald Trump's fault that Kirstjen Nielsen's being harassed at restaurants?
Well, I think the Trump policy is pretty callous, but that's not even what I'm trying to get across. I think that we do need to get back to civility, but I think the president needs to be a leader in that regard, and he needs to be more civil in his tweets and in his public statements. And I think that would lead to more civility.
Okay, let's bring Charlie
discourse
in here. Charlie, is it the president's fault?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a stretch if you ask me. But, just look at this whole situation on the border. When you look at the border and you look at what's going on down there, it's turned into all it is a political protest using the most strident, despicable language, dragging children into this. What is already a very difficult situation on the border, and turning them into props, basically, in order to push some sort of political agenda, and basically accusing people who are trying to enforce the law, accusing Border Patrol agents of being Nazis. Yeah. I mean, my goodness, have these people watched 5 minutes of history on their television sets? It's not the same. I mean, it's insane. That's what's setting the tone these days.
Jason, on that point, what is the deal with that? I mean, to compare the situation on the border and not even compare it, but to use the phrase concentration camps. Millions of people were gassed and were killed. That is not what is happening with these kids. Whether you like the policy or not, you'll admit kids were not killed at the border. They were not in concentration camps, right?
Right, but they were separated from their families.
But then why did people in your party say that they were in concentration camps? You just admitted they were not.
The comparison that I've seen is actually to Japanese internment. Of course, we didn't kill people during the Japanese internment, but we certainly separated them from their families, and it's a shameful part of our history. So I think what people are saying is that this is wrong. The administration needs to act, and they need to think these policies through. I think the worst part about this family separation is that they didn't think about how they're going to reunite the families. And we're seeing this kind of discord right now. Mm-hmm. People are fed up. People are angry. And so we're seeing the protests happen at the border.
Charlie, let me press you on a point, which is, this was made earlier by Jason, which is this notion the president called Maxine Waters a low IQ individual. Why does he have to go there?
Obviously sometimes he goes a little farther than a lot of us would like in terms of sparring with people. But my goodness, I mean, when you look at the things that Maxine Waters has said about him, it's pretty intense. But I also think that, Donald Trump came into power in the most unusual way. He rode a wave of enormous frustration. I would even say anger. On the part of American voters who felt like, who have been ignored for a very long time by both parties. It's not just a Democrat thing, it's Republicans too in this town. And they've been ignored. And so he does sort of ride a little bit of a wave of deep frustration. And I think sometimes he lets it slip.
Charlie, Jason, appreciate the debate.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good seeing you. Seth Rogen, meanwhile.